All right, yeah, so I have here the service manual for the CRF300L Rally. It's actually it's also for the 300L as well. So that's the 300L. LA means the A stands for ABS. Down here 300L. R stands for Rally. LRA is Rally ABS, right? So 2021. It's interesting that they Honda changed their design of their service manual. So now the service manual is not as thick as it used to be. They used to have a different type of format. So that's interesting to know. And they did that. I think they started doing that for the 2001 models. I think they made that change about a year ago for 2001, I believe. That's also when the price went up too. 2001 prices for these things went up a lot for these books. They went up by like the price increase was like some high number. It wasn't like a few percentage or a few dollars. It was like something like $20 or something like that. So this book cost me. I can't remember how much this book cost me, but this book was more expensive than I would like. I think it's $60. $60. Actually, it's not that much. The shipping was $20. So maybe it was the shipping that was taking off. Anyways, so down here, you guys could zoom in or pause it or whatever. Down here, again, it says Rally and Standard, right? Model types. So you see LR, Rally, and L means Standard. Then here it has RA, means ABS. Here's A is ABS. So if you look over here, ABS, and it corresponds with that. So that's that, right? Then over here you have another code. You have AC and CM. So this is for the North American, right? North American market. I don't know about other parts of the world. So AC and CM. AC means it has an evap canister. So you go over here, there's an evap canister. So basically, that's the California model. California model requires the evap canister. I don't know if they do that in Europe. Folks that are from Europe, let me know if they do this in Europe with their with your what is it? Euro 5, and I think, you guys on Euro 6 now? No, I think you're on Euro 5 now. And whichever it is, let me know if you have an evap canister. That's the charcoal canister. And also the Rally model is the one with the LED lights. So the non-Rally model has no LED lights. All right. So let's get to what I wanted to point out. Right here. So on this page right here. So on this page, it says Rally type. So all this stuff is for the Rally model. Frame, front suspension, axle travel. So it only has front suspension. It only has 9.2. So I think on the Honda North America website, it says 10.2. But actually, if you look at the video where I measured the front fork, the travel and stuff, the 10.2 comes from the front fork fully extended. Actually, let's look at it real quick. Here, comes from the front fork fully extended. The front fork fully extended. If you measure from the seal up here, all the way down to the black part, the dropouts, the lower right here. So you measure this whole full length here. When the fork is fully extended, it's 10.2, but that's not the actual travel. The actual travel here is, at least according to the service manual, and I trust the service manual more than the website. The website is 10.2, but here the service manual says 9.2 inches, so, or 234 millimeters. Right, so that's the front. The rear was it rear. Oh, here it is, rear suspension. Rear suspension is 10.2, which is on the website it says 10.2. So that's accurate. Right. Let's see what else does it show on here. Oh, the gas tank. Gas tank is 3.34. Basically, let's round it to 3.4. I think that's what the website says. 3.4 or is it 3.5? So turn the page, and up here it says standard model, or standard type, standard type. So that means that's the regular 300L, not the Rally one, the non-Rally one. So here, actual travel 9.2 in the front. Rear axle travel 10.2. So it has the same amount of travel. There you go. This is this is definitive proof right here, unless something in here is not right. And that's true. Every once in a while, Honda does send out a they actually send out a well, actually, usually they send it out with the book when you buy this book. If there's something that's been revised and they changed some number somewhere, they usually send out like another page where you actually, it's like a sticker, and you stick it on, and it tells you like, oh, new spec or whatever, new info or something like that. So that's that. Let's look at the oil capacity for the forks. That's clutch, frame, and chassis. Here we go. Frame and chassis. There you go. So spring front fork right here, front fork, spring free length. If I should just see if I could zoom. Actually, you know what? Let me drop my tripod a few inches. It's a few inches. You guys will probably see that if you guys zoom in. Or pause it or whatever. Actually, let me see if I could zoom in. I'm not sure if I could zoom in. Oh yeah, I could. So front, it doesn't say anything about Rally or standard model. Let's see. Yeah, this one doesn't say anything about that. Nope, doesn't say anything about that. So front fork, right side. So right side and left side is different. So right side is spring free length. Left side there's no spring. So the left side of this bike has no spring. It's only the front. Or excuse me, it's only the right side. So I take the right side as being the throttle side, and the left side being the clutch lever side. Let's see, anything else? Front, no, that's the front brake. Battery, light meters. Let's see. So these are torque fastener numbers. Okay, so let's go back to here. All right, so spring free length, Rally, and standard, there is a difference in the spring free length. 544 versus 536. So that tells me the weight of the spring is a little bit different, because if it's the same, these numbers should be the same too. So the Rally one is a little bit longer. It's 8 millimeters longer, almost 9 millimeters longer. So 544.9 is basically 545. 536. 36 to 45 is 9 millimeters. So 9 millimeters longer. So spring free length right there for the fork. Fluid level is different as well. 182 for the Rally, which is 171 for the non-Rally. And again, this is the right fork leg, the side that has the spring on it. So that number will be different from this capacity, 626 versus 638. Actually, I never use the actual volume. I think that's a bad number to use. It's better to use the actual level. That's a consistent number, because if you use a volume, because the thing is, when you pour out the fork oil, you never pour out every single drop of that fork oil. So if you measure this number here and you pour it back in, it's actually going to be more than this, because there's always going to be a little bit of oil left in the fork itself, unless you leave the fork upside down for for days and days and let it all drip out. Then maybe you get closer to this number being accurate. But it's better to use the actual height. All right, so that's the side with the spring. So that's left side, the clutch lever side. Clutch lever side has no spring, so the fork level is 54. So this number here, 54 and 182 and 171. And actually, it's 54. It's just 54. That's it. There's nothing on nothing else. There's no Rally or standard type. And the reason for that is this side has no spring. So, and why the fork numbers here are different is because the spring is a little bit different. And when this number, this fork level, fluid level, what you're measuring is you're measuring the height of the oil where the fork. Let's see if I can illustrate this better. Looking at, oops, zoom out. So let's say, you know, the fork right here is you know, obviously extended, but once you take the top clamp off and remove all the internals, or the springs, I should say, remove the springs from in here. That means when you measure the fork oil level, you would actually compress it all the way, full compression, where it's fully compressed. Then you measure the oil level from the top of this fork leg, right there, you know, right underneath the bottom of the cap right here. So the bottom of the top of the fork leg, you measure it down to wherever the fork oil is. So let's say the fork oil is right here. So you measure from there to here. So actually 54 millimeters, it's only a little bit over 2 inches. So it's probably going to be like around here somewhere. So yeah, so the fork level is going to be right there when it's fully compressed. The oil level is right there, and the reason why it needs you know, you get away with that much oil is because this side has no spring, or not this side, but the other side. There's no spring. There's nothing. So there's nothing to take up the volume. But the side with the spring, it measures it has a bigger number because it measures lower. It measures down further at 100 and what was it, 160, whatever it was, 100 plus millimeters. So it measures down here somewhere, because when you put the spring on, you know, and all the stuff for it, that stuff will take up space, take up volume. So when you put that stuff on, the oil level will actually increase more. All right, that makes sense. So that's that. So if you're planning on getting a spring for the fork for this bike, I believe the spring is an add-on spring, not a replacement spring. Meaning this, you know, the throttle side here has a spring, but the clutch side has no spring. So when you get a firmer spring, you actually don't replace this spring. You leave that spring in place and you add the spring on this side. I believe that's the case, but I'm not 100% sure. At least that's the case with Racetech. Racetech said that they're leaving the spring in place here, but they're adding another spring here to increase the rate. And how that works is that you take the rate of the two, you add it up and you divide the two, and that's how you get the rate. So if you say, for example, if you're getting YSS, a lot of people are getting YSS springs because they're pretty cheap. They're only like about $100, a little bit over $100. I'm not sure if it's complete replacement here, and you keep this side the same or not. I wasn't able to get that information. But I don't see how they could do that because this space here is very small. So when you get a firmer spring, that much firmer, that's where it's where it's double. If the spring rate is meant for, say, 100 pound weight rider, like Racetech says, as Racetech claims, 100 pound weight rider, and you putting on a spring rate for a 200 pound rider, the spring's gonna be that much thicker. The coil, the winding itself, the actual winding, the actual thickness here, it's actually gonna be thicker. And there's only so much space where when it compresses, where the coils will come together and binds. If those coils are thicker, it will bind faster, and that means that the thing won't be able to get its full travel. So that's why Racetech says it's not possible to do it, to just change the spring on this side. So that's why they did that in addition to putting a spring on this side. So you're using both sides. So that's why I assume that with the YSS front spring, it's gonna be the same thing. I don't see how they would just replace the old spring. So they would just add it's an addition of another spring, is I think how they would do it as well. But I'm not 100% sure with YSS. But I know for sure with Racetech, because it says it on the website. If you look the information on the website, they actually say that. Let's see. I think that's the only thing I wanted to cover. I think pretty much everything else is the same, except for some of those dimensions. And so this format's completely different from what I'm used to. So before in the past, on the service manual, these little tabs here on the side, they actually have a whole bunch of different tabs for each different subject matter. You actually see it here. When you see that, there's a tab here, there's one right here, and there's looks like another one right here. But they only have that tab for that one where it starts. After that, it's not there anymore. You have to save it on ink maybe, because you have to use more ink, right? So they don't do that anymore. But also the overall thickness of the books are thinner too. Before, all the books used to be thicker than this, but now it's, there used to be more pages, but now it's, they did something, they changed the format somehow to make it more compressed, so that way it's basically, it uses less paper, less ink. Save those resources. All right, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.